Have you recently been feeling like life is dragging you down? You feel more depressed, anxious, or have more self doubt in your life recently? Well, today's episode is going to be for you. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Get Over Yourself podcast hosted by me, Brandon Davis. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about the one simple strategy on how you can find true happiness inside of this life. And as a hint, it's not actually focusing on yourself. That's right, everybody. We are going to be talking about service today and why it is so pertinent inside of your life, why it releases these endorphins inside of your life that you need, that you crave, that your body craves in order to find true happiness and fulfillment. We're going to be ditching that anxiety, ditching that depression, and it's all going to be by the way of serving others. But before we jump into full force of today's episode, I have a couple exciting announcements. First and foremost, I want to read the scripture or the quote of the day. This one is found in Mark chapter 10, verse 45, all about service here, guys. For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and not to give his life as ransom for many. Guys, even God's truly beloved Son, Jesus Christ, came to this earth to serve. Jesus is the perfect example. So if we live our lives in accordance with his teachings and example, we should be serving our fellow men. This is a lesson I've been trying to apply once again into my life. I feel like in the past I've been very good at service, not to toot my own horn. I'm doing this purely so I could share examples. But recently I feel like I've been a little bit lacking in that department. So I'm going to be discussing a couple of the ways where I'm getting back into service, some of the things that I've learned when practicing service, and why I know it can benefit your mental and physical health. Because I promise you, serving is the best way to get rid of that depression, anxiety, and self-doubt. But before, once again, we jump full force in today's episode of the Get Over Yourself podcast, focusing on service, a couple fun announcements. This Saturday, my small startup Interval is competing in a pitch competition. It's exciting. It's the first one we've done yet. So if you guys would do me a favor, if you are listening to this on it's March 1st tomorrow. March 1st. So Friday, March 1st. Today's the 29th. Happy Leap Day. I'm recording this on Leap Day, and it's super exciting. We get that extra day of the year. But tomorrow, if you're listening to this podcast on March 1st at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time or any time in between, up until March 2nd, I would appreciate it if you click the link down in the description below, down in the show notes. It will take you to the pitch competition. We have a fan favorite voting section. So if you guys would please do me the honor of voting for Interval as your fan favorite for the competition, that would help me out a ton. But guys, with that all being said, let's jump into today's episode. So, like that scripture alluded to, Christ was our perfect example. And what did Christ do while he was here on this earth? He served others. He served others. And so that is the true form of happiness I want to be talking about in today's episode. So as many of you know, I did missionary work down in Brazil as well as Houston, Texas for 2 years of my life. Right after I graduated high school, I ended up going on an LDS mission, and I was put out into the field where I was solely helping people come closer to Christ and serving them in any ways, fashions, or means. A couple of these ways I would serve people. One of my favorite ones that I did down in Brazil was teaching English lessons. So a lot of times on Saturday mornings, we'd all head to our local church, and everyone in the community, we had big old banners outside the church. We had little billboards and little signs out in people's yards. Everyone we would walk to, we'd hand out little cards and pamphlets explaining how we do free English classes. The best experience of my life. Here were these amazing Brazilians, most of them I still talk to today, and they would show up to our local church, which was just a small home in the city of Telemacobor, Brazil, and we would teach them English. And for a while there, I was the one in charge. There was 6 of us missionaries in this small city, and I was the one kind of heading the English Connect program, is what it was called, where we taught people English. And a lot of these people had some basic knowledge of English because it's taught in many of the Brazilian schools, but a lot of them also had no lick of English whatsoever. So it was kind of fun to dissect them into groups and learn what kind of made them tick, what kind of areas they were already good at in speaking, and where they needed the most improvement. But when I was serving them, when I was teaching them English, I just remember I always had the biggest smile on my face, and it was always so fun. As a teacher, sometimes you could get very frustrated, but I think the reason why many people choose to be a teacher, choose that profession, is because there's this inherent good feeling because you're serving other people. You're helping them learn, you're helping them grow, and you're helping them become better individuals. So as I was serving these amazing Brazilian people, I was feeling happy inside my own life. And we continue that on for the entirety of my experience when I was doing missionary work, and be that Brazil or Houston, Texas. And as I was serving others, I was the happiest that I probably have ever been inside of my entire life. And it's interesting to think about that now. I'm married, I'm working on a fun startup, I got this podcast. Like, my life right now, being a young 20-year-old male, is incredible. I think about the amazing experiences I go through each and every day, the people I meet, the connections I make, the things I do. My life is very, very good. I'm married to the love of my life. Like, we have such a good life right now. But then I think back to that time where I was serving other people for 2 whole years. And in some ways, I think I was happier even then. And it's not because like there's anything going wrong inside of my life right now, but it's because of the fact that those 2 years were solely dedicated to helping other people. That was the happiest I've ever been. Don't get me wrong, because I was dedicating my life to the service of other people, it also was very difficult. There's times where I got sad, or I was emotionally invested in a lot of these people. So when they make poor life decisions, or for whatever reason just had a difficult time, it made me sad as well. So I'll throw in that caveat. I was the happiest I ever was, but I was also very sad in some instances just because of how much I loved these people. But it really makes me think, and that's why I wanted to make this episode today. Why are we the happiest when we serve other people? Why is that? And I'm looking into my own marriage and I think, okay, what are the times where I have the best connection with my wife, where I feel the most love from her, but I also feel the most love that I'm giving her? It's when I'm serving her, when I do the dishes, when I pick some food up on the way home from work, when, just these small little acts that just make her smile. And that makes me so happy because she's happy. When I bring her a bouquet of flowers, like just these simple acts that in the grand scheme of things, it's like, oh, woohoo, I'm doing something every husband should do. But it makes me happy because I'm seeing how happy she is. My true joy comes from seeing the smile on her face, her reactions, her love that she gives me because of these small ways that I'm serving her. And so I want you to think back. What are some of the last times that you were able to serve somebody else inside of your life? Was it a family member, a friend, somebody on the street? Maybe you were walking into the grocery store and a mom was kind of struggling, so you helped her put her groceries inside of her car, or somebody needed a little bit of help with some gas money. Like, think about these experiences inside of your life. When was the last time you truly served your brothers or sisters here on this earth? How did you feel afterwards? Did it make you smile? Were you happy? Or were you sad? Guys, I promise you, if you truly served one of your brothers and sisters here on this earth, you were happy afterwards. It's this inherent feeling that our body craves. When we serve, it is scientifically proven that our endorphin count goes up. As we serve, we get more excited, we get amped up, because service is what drives us. Because as humans, we're all programmed roughly the same way. When we serve, we are going to be happier. So once again, think about that experience where you just had most recently inside of your life where you were able to serve somebody. How did it make them feel afterwards? How did you feel afterwards? What are the thoughts and emotions after the experience? Like, another good example, if you guys have ever done kind of like a toy drive, or around the holidays, around Thanksgiving, Christmas time, if you've ever like donated your time or your means to some of these organizations that help kids who want a fun Christmas, or maybe donating some food, you go work at a food bank or anything like that. Don't you just feel good after you do those things? That is because your body is craving that desire to go and serve other people. And I want to share a quick experience. The reason why this kind of topic was so on the forefront of my mind recently. If any of you listeners here on the Get Over Yourself podcast actually follow me on Instagram, you might know a few nights ago, I was out riding my bike. I'm preparing for my first half Ironman coming up here in a few months. And as I was out riding my bike, I just bought the thing. I got it about a week and a half ago. And as I just picked it up, this was my first long ride I had done the entire time since having the bike. I'm not a road biker. I'm not very good at it. I'm going to train that thing probably the most because I'm the most afraid for that section of the 50 miles of racing. And so when I was out on my first long ride, this is just a couple nights ago, it's a little rainy, it's dark, it's around 10 p.m. at night here in Utah, and I choose this road where I think, okay, not too many cars are going to be going down it, and I should be fine. Lo and behold, I wasn't prepared enough, and I got a flat tire. And in the mail, coming on Amazon 2 days later, I just got it yesterday, was my CO2 canisters to fill up my air in my tires if I got a flat. So I went on this ride, not prepared whatsoever, and I got a flat. And I was about 45 minutes from home, from walking distance. So I was like, oh, goodness gracious. Brendan and I, we don't have a truck or anything. We don't have a car with a rack. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to make the long trek back home. So I was wheeling my bike up this massive little hill that I had rode down, and I was excited that I was going to be able to ride back up this thing. That was going to be my strength training. But unfortunately, I was walking it, and I was just kind of frustrated. I'm thinking to myself, gosh, I don't know why I got a flat. I just got this bike. Like, of course this is going to happen. And I'm just kind of like in my own head. And I turn on a podcast, and I'm just kind of walking down the road, and I'm still about 40 minutes from home. I'd only been walking for a few minutes. And I start thinking to myself, I'm like, well, it's getting late, but maybe I could potentially hitchhike. And so I end up putting out my hand, like all hitchhikers do. I put out my thumb, and I'm aiming the direction I want to go. And I'm getting passed up left and right. There's a million cars driving right by me. Can I blame them? No. I'm a dude. I'm a young dude. I was wearing a hoodie. People are probably like, heck no, I'm not picking that guy up. It's late at night. No disrespect to them. I understand how it is. But at the same time, I was like, this would be really, really nice if somebody could drive by in a truck or some kind of bigger sized car and grab my bike and me, and so I could get home a little bit sooner. This is going to be a very long time. And after a few minutes, still nothing. And so I'm like, okay, God really is trying to humble me at this point. And so I decide, okay, if nobody's going to stop, God, I'm going to say a prayer, and you're going to prove to me today that you're real and you're a loving God and you'll help somebody out. And I kid you not, I say a prayer, and I say, in basic terms, I said, God, I'd love it if I could find a ride home. If not, no worries. But as all these cars pass me, bless them to know that I'm not a scary dude and I'm not going to rob them and take their car. And a simple prayer, I was kind of joking around with them. And I kid you not, within less than 3 minutes, a car that had just driven by me, it was a truck. I looked, and I was putting up my hand as they drove by. Remember, not very many cars were down this road. So like when one came, I was waving around. I was trying to get that ride. And this car just passed me about 2 minutes earlier. I saw a man and his wife, and I'm like, okay, he probably doesn't want to get me because he has his wife inside of the car. And they drive by. I kid you not, under 3 minutes after saying that prayer, that truck that had driven way up the road flipped all the way back around, and they pulled up next to me. They picked me up, and they took me home. How cool is that? They served me. Not only was it an answer to a prayer, literally, but they were serving me. And afterwards, you can't make this stuff up, people. Afterwards, after they dropped me off, they said, thank you for letting us get you. And I was like, what on earth? Like, you guys are the ones that just helped me. Don't be thanking me. But they had a big smile on their face. I got a picture with them. I talked to them. Very, very nice couple. Very nice. And then I won't ever forget this. The man who dropped me off at my house, the one who was driving the truck, he looked at me and he said, just make sure to go and do this for somebody else one day. And that just struck me. The entire reason why I wanted to make this episode today. Go and make sure you do this for somebody else someday. So guys, picture inside of your life. When has somebody served you? Maybe you just had an injury and somebody brought you a treat to make you feel better. Maybe you went through a breakup or some kind of lost relationship and you had somebody's shoulder to cry on. These moments inside of your life where somebody has served you are the greatest feeling. You feel loved. You feel cherished. You feel like you belong. You feel like somebody actually cares. And as small as an example of that I just shared, where I was just hitchhiking and somebody answered my prayer, was able to pick me up, that meant so much to me. Picture those moments when somebody served you, how you felt. That's exactly how it feels when you serve somebody else. You can offer them those same experiences, those same blessings, those same feelings of joy. You can do that for somebody else inside of their life. And I promise you, on a very selfish front as well, you're going to feel blessed and you're going to feel happy that you did serve them. So as for some opportunities on where you can go serve, I just did a quick Google search and you guys could check this out a little bit further on your own as well. If you want some ideas on how and where you should go serve, we got a couple. You can volunteer your services at local shelters. So picture your dog shelters, your food shelters, your homeless shelters. I've had the opportunity to work at food banks as well as homeless shelters before in the past, feeding them dinner, preparing people's meals when they come to the food bank. Very, very special opportunities. You see a lot of families who have just hit hard times, and you're just able to help them with the gift that everyone needs here on this earth, which is food. So that's a great one. Look up local things inside of your area. Other things you could donate. So both your time and labor towards other events going on around the community that hopefully you can help people just kind of get back in the groove. You could donate some money to an organization that you believe in and is doing good. This one I felt was kind of fun. You could do yard work for your next door neighbors. Maybe you have somebody on your street that's a little bit older or might be injured right now or just not have a lot of time on their hands. You could go do some yard work for them. Shout out to my father-in-law, Greg. He's been doing this for years. One of his neighbors is elderly. They live in Cache Valley, Utah, where it snows and it's super icy during the entire winter season. And so for years, he's been going over and shoveling one of his elderly neighbors' driveways. And that is just a great example service. It's something super simple. It takes him less than 20 minutes every single time he does it, but it makes her life. She literally couldn't live. She couldn't drive out of her driveway had he not done that for her for the past couple of years. You could pick up loose garbage down the street. You can smile at a person walking by. There's a million ways you could serve somebody. They could be grand, they could be small, but the ultimate goal is you can get out and actually serve somebody else. And I want to kind of wrap this up. A lot of times we think that service has to do with money. And obviously that's a choice. Like if you want to choose to serve somebody by, helping them pay for something, do a GoFundMe, donate money to a hospital, those are all amazing things. But I was listening to a podcast recently where they were saying there's a million other ways to serve and you don't have to think about it monetarily. So much of our world today is focused solely on money, 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 but there is a million better ways that you could serve. Jesus, he was not a rich man, yet he was the greatest server of everyone of all time. Go out, find your own unique ways to do it. Find what makes you tick. Find areas that you're gifted at. If you're a creative person, find a creative way to go out and serve somebody. If you're very strong, go get some labor in for somebody else. If you're very intellectual, go tutor some kids. Whatever way you can figure out to go and serve, go and do it, because I promise you, you're going to feel gratitude at the end of it and make somebody's day, just like it happens to you when somebody serves you. But guys, thank you so much for listening to today's episode of Get Over Yourself podcast. Once again, service is the name of the game. I promise you it will help your depression, anxiety, self-doubt, and every other kind of emotion you're feeling inside of your life. You will feel happier no matter what at the end of a good service project or opportunity. Once again, please go head over to the link in my bio and vote Interval for the fan favorite of our competition here coming up tomorrow. If you're listening to this on Friday, super excited for this competition. It's going to be quite interesting to see how it goes. So fan favorite votes help a ton. Likewise, if you appreciated today's conversation, make sure to share it with somebody who you believe would benefit from hearing my words, and give me a 5-star review so I can continue to grow this show. With that all being said, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks.